Hello, everyone. This is Caroline. I'm your host, and it's good to be back. I hope you had a good Monday and are ready to start our webinar and listen a few things that Linda has prepared for you. Hello, Linda. How are you feeling tonight?
Hello, I'm very, very good, and I'm honored to be presenting here.
Thank you so much for joining. This is your first webinar with us, so I'm very happy to have you on board with us. And thank you already for joining our Stronger Together event. And of course, as always, let me say a few things about our Stronger Together events. As you know, we are here every single day from Monday till Friday to support you, to give you an opportunity to meet top fertility experts, but also coordinators and fertility coaches to support you, to simply provide you with some details so that you can learn more and more and more about all the IVF aspects. And of course, we are here to help you out as much as we can. And as you know, all those events have been brought to you also thanks to our ambassadors and partners. All of those you can see right here. So I always want to thank them for their support and being with us throughout those months actually of hard work as well. And as you can see, we have a very interesting topic for prepared today, and it is success stories after multiple attempts. And we will hear some insights from the IVF coordinator. And with us, as I mentioned, we have Linda Sywalová, and she is the coordinator at Gynem IVF Clinic, which is located in Prague. So, hello to Prague as well. And as always, please let us know that you can hear us loud and clear as we will start with the presentation. So Linda will tell you a few things on how her work looks like. And of course, she will be able to provide you some more details. And afterwards, it will be time for your questions. So all you need to do is just put them in the chat section, and after the presentation, Linda will be more than happy to help you out with them. I am so sure about it. So don't hesitate. Anything that is on your mind, just go ahead and type those in. You can do it during the presentation or later on, and well, Linda will help you out here. And yes, I guess that will be it from me. And Linda, are you ready to start with the presentation?
Yes, definitely.
Excellent. Thank you so much then. Go ahead.
Thank you, Caroline. Thank you. So again, my name is Linda. Good evening. Thank you for taking the time to join us with this presentation and the webinar. As you know, we have the team Success Stories After Multiple Attempts. I'm working at the Gynem Fertility Clinic in Prague for over 2 years. So I have seen many stories, multiple negative tests, but luckily also multiple positive tests. So I'm here to share some experience, some stories with you. And my goal is to motivate you with your stories. So let's get started. First, I will tell you something about myself. Who am I? What am I doing? Why am I actually having this presentation? Then I will tell you something about our IVF clinic. I will cover the legal restrictions in the Czech Republic regarding the IVF. I will tell you something more about the types of the treatments within IVF, what more can be done. I will share with you some of our stories, and then I will give you examples, recommendations, and the conclusion about what is recommended from our lab and by our doctors. So again, as you can see on the picture, this is me. I'm looking better there. So I am mentioning or highlighting my master's in international business and marketing because I don't have a medical background. I am the coordinator. I am not a nurse. I am not a doctor. I am not an embryologist either. So please respect that when you ask the questions later. So my job is I am the international coordinator for patients coming from English, French, and Serbian speaking countries. Serbian, I have Balkan roots, so I speak Serbian. I was studying at a grammar school in Ostrava, in Czech Republic, so it was in French. And I also did a semester in France during my studies in La Rochelle. And I did the master's in international business and marketing in Denmark, which was in English. So if you speak one of these three languages and you come to our clinic, maybe we will see each other and I will assist you. Who is an international client coordinator? What am I doing? So first of all, I am your first contact with us. When you contact us, I call you, I send you an email, we exchange some basic information. Then I make sure that you have all the documentation you need. You know everything about our clinic, about the procedures, about how it works at our clinic, and then I book the initial consultation with our doctor. After this consultation, you take time to think about your possibilities, the recommendations you got from the doctor, and then we plan your treatment. Normally, if you live in the country where you have the treatment, you are in contact with the reception, with the nurses. However, the nurses don't speak your language at the reception. Nobody can understand what you need. So therefore, I am there to make sure that you get everything, that you have your medication on time, that your protocol is clear, that every time you come to the clinic, I am there to assist you to translate during the ultrasound, during the transfer. And simply, for me, the most important thing is that I am a familiar face, sometimes only a voice in a different country where you go for your treatment. Coming for a treatment to another, for a treatment to another country, and sharing something so intimate must be very difficult. So it's good to have one person that knows your case and helps you, gives you the helping hand, and makes sure that everything is covered and you feel in good hands. So this is my job. I am working at the Gynem Fertility Clinic. This is our beautiful new building, established in 2013. So we are on the field for 7 years. We are a family-owned clinic, and what I wanted to share with you is that our average client age for female patients is, for the IVF with own eggs, is 36 years old, and for the egg donation, 42 years old. Now there you can see where we are situated in the capital city of Czech Republic, in Prague. Move on. Oh, the legal restrictions in the Czech Republic regarding the IVF. So the IVF is possible only for women that are younger than 49 years old, and they have a verified male partner. It really, if you understand correctly, that the IVF is possible exclusively for couples. We don't have an age limit for male partners or for male patients. The gender selection is not legal in the Czech Republic. And the donation, both the egg donation and the sperm donation, is completely anonymous. The idea behind this is that if you meet the donor on the street, you are not allowed to recognize him or her. So you're not allowed to meet the donor. You're not allowed to see the picture. This is how it works. You get the physical characteristics. Sometimes in some clinics, you also get the hobbies, the profession of the donor, if they already have a child, the age. But unfortunately, that is all. Then each clinic might have their own restrictions, such as Gynem. We have a BMI limit, which is 40, and ideally it should be less than 35 from our experience. Then we have also a weight limit, which is somewhere 125 to 130 kilos. What are the treatment possibilities? So I guess I was informed that I shouldn't be explaining the types of the treatment. I shouldn't be explaining this because usually the patients interested in this webinar should have an idea about it, have already some experience. So first level is the intrauterine insemination. Then we have the IVF, so the in vitro fertilization with own cells. Then the donation from the sperm donation, the egg donation, and both cell donation, which is the embryo donation. One thing is that we can also do combinations of these, such as we can use the own eggs, and then the day of the egg retrieval, we can also use the donor eggs, fertilize all the eggs, both the donated and the own eggs, with the own sperm. And then the day of the transfer, we can decide if we transfer one, if we have an embryo that we can transfer from the own cells, or we use the the embryo from the donated eggs. It depends. Okay, so that this is a backup so that we have an embryo to transfer the day of the transfer. Another possibility would be also to use the donated sperm. So we can use the own eggs, and then we can fertilize half of the eggs with the donated sperm and half with the own sperm. And then, of course, we know which embryo is fertilized by which sperm. And then we can use if we have an embryo the day of the transfer, ideally the day 5, so that we have a blastocyst. So if we have an embryo that is fertilized, that was fertilized by own sperm, we can transfer this one. If not, we can use the one with the donated sperm. Another possibility, which is rather rare, is the surrogacy. We do have some cases each year. However, there are some restrictions for the surrogacy. One is that we have to use own eggs and own sperm, and then create the embryo and transfer it to the surrogate mother. That is one condition. We are not allowed to use the donated eggs nor the donated sperm, but that is usually not the case that the patients would like to. And there has to be a medical reason why you are interested in the surrogacy. So either, for example, that you have a history of long history of IVFs that were not working, or maybe because the patient doesn't have a uterus or working ovaries, so it's not possible. Do we have there next? Yes. So before the treatment, what else can be done? We can do a endometrial scratch. So actually, this is we are making a scratch on the uterine cavity, which boosts the growth or the immune system, and this helps to kind of boost the natural killers. And then thanks to this, we actually it helps to implant the embryo. So this is one option that is very recommended. Usually it's done during the cycle before you start with the treatment, and it should be done the 21st day of the cycle before you start with the treatment. Another possibility is a ERA test. That is a test done on to find out when is the window of implantation of the woman. This is usually something that takes 2 to 3 days, and it's very difficult to track it. So if we do this test, it is usually copying a protocol that you use to prepare for the frozen embryo transfer. And the day of the transfer, we would usually do the transfer. However, we do this test to find out if there is a normal receptivity, which is a standard receptivity, or maybe there is a pre-receptivity. This can be displaced. 2 more tests that we can do is genetic testing before the treatment. This is not pre-implantation genetic testing. This is a blood test. and the natural killer cells testing. I wouldn't like to go too much in depth with this testing because I am not an embryologist. So we can talk about that if you contact us on the email, and then we can consult it with our embryologist. Something that can be done during the treatment is, for example, intralipids. They are applied intravenously. Those are, wait a second, they are fat emulsion and calorie sources. They downregulate the natural killers that usually they prevent the embryo to implant. So and intralipids, they are applied for three hours, up to 3 hours, sometimes less. And usually they are applied 1 week before the transfer, the day of the transfer, 1 week after the transfer, but it varies, which depending on the doctor's recommendations. Then something really recommended is the sperm preselection. There are many types of preselection depending on the problem, such as the M.Sc, M.Sc, PICSI, MAX, and fertile chip. There are more, however, we are using these 4, so this is what I am informed about. We are mainly using M.Sc because it's the most effective one. EmbryoScope is the 24/7 screening or monitoring system, because usually embryologists the day of the egg retrieval, from the day of the retrieval and during the cultivation, they have to check the embryos every day to evaluate their quality and number of cells, and then they return back. However, with the embryologists, they don't have EmbryoScope. They don't have to. This is actually not. We are not. This is avoiding the handling. It stays in the EmbryoScope, and we can look at it on the monitor and check the quality every day, and we can even go backwards because it's a video. EmbryoScope is also used during the pre-implantation genetic testing, because we need to find the exact moment when to do the biopsy for the testing. So EmbryoScope has to be used, but I will tell you something more about the pre-implantation genetic testing later. Something else, during just before the transfer, we can do an assisted hatching or embryo glue. The embryo glue is a glue that we put on the embryo to help him implant the embryo. And the assisted hatching is, we are touching, or we are destroying a little bit the zona pellucida of the embryo, which is something that embraces the embryo, and we are calling it that we are opening the door for the embryo to actually leave the zona pellucida. So this is really recommended if, for example, you have a frozen embryo transfer. Let's move on. The pre-implantation genetic testing. This is a very interesting topic. To be honest, our embryologists and doctors are not really fans of pre-implantation genetic testing, because when we do the biopsy day 5, usually on the blastocysts, we are taking one cell. So we do the biopsy, and we're taking one cell from the edge of the embryo. You can see that, for example, this embryo on the picture has 4 cells. Usually there are more. 10, maybe even more. So we would take one cell that is at the edge, not to destroy the embryo. However, our embryologists always say that this one cell doesn't have to be representative for the whole embryo. So let's say this one cell at the edge can be euploid, which means recommended for the transfer. However, the rest of the embryo doesn't have to be, and vice versa, meaning that the part can be not really of a good quality, and then of course the conclusion would be not to transfer this embryo. However, the rest of the embryo might be good. So that is something that our embryologists are not really fans of, and we have some cases, or all my clients that had pre-implantation genetic testing, and the embryo was euploid, meaning it was recommended for the transfer. Indeed, the test was positive after 2 weeks. However, in the end, unfortunately, there was a miscarriage. So in general, we are not recommending the pre-implantation genetic testing. What might be interesting for you is that this is recommended usually where the patient has a history of miscarriages, and also it is recommended, or at the same time, it is recommended for women that are over 40 years old. Okay, one more thing that is more from the coordinators than from the doctors is that we can see that there are good results if the patient is not stressed, is in the good mental health, which means that if there is something that helps you avoid stress the day of the transfer and sometimes before and ideally afterwards, do it. It can be if you do meditation, if you like massages, if you like to spend time with the pets, if you like to spend time in the nature, do it. Stress in general is not good for the treatment. It really is important, the positiveness and the stress, to avoid it in general. Another thing that is recommended is the fertility acupuncture. I put a picture here. That is usually something that we do. It's a type of acupuncture that you do the day of the transfer, just before the transfer and afterwards. So usually 30 minutes before and 30 minutes afterwards. I have really good experience with my patients that it was really helpful. Patients usually, the first thing that they ask is, what is recommended by the doctor? Do I need egg donation? Can I do it with my own eggs? Of course, the doctor will give you recommendations depending on your test results, on your age. So, for example, the AMH, which is the alpha omega of everything in the fertility. So the AMH is something that gives us an idea about the quantity of eggs. However, it doesn't tell us anything about the quality of eggs. So, for example, we can have a high level of AMH when being 45. However, we can retrieve, let's say, 10 eggs. However, at the end, we will maybe have an embryo, and usually the implantation is not successful. So please keep in mind that AMH is one thing that is important. However, the quality of eggs is something that we cannot predict. A number of 3 in the IVF treatment is something very popular. So usually doctors, when they see that you had an history of 3 intrauterine inseminations, they recommend you to move on to IVF. If you have a history of 3 IVFs, usually they would recommend you to move on to egg donation or sperm donation, depending on your results. Okay, so let's move to some real stories. So, for example, we have a patient, female, 35 years old, a male, 51 years old, from France. They have a history before coming to Gynem, 5 intrauterine inseminations, 4 IVFs. Then they came to Gynem, and that we did 2 more IVFs. We had 1 embryo. With the second transfer, we had 2 embryos. There was never a positive test. They have never tried a treatment with a donor. And then they moved to egg donation finally, and the test was positive, and they have a baby. So usually I can't tell you the exact percentage, but usually when you move from IVF to egg donation, the chances are way higher. And in most of the cases, the first attempt is already the successful one. Of course, there are cases that it's not the case. But in most of the cases, when you move from IVF to egg donation, it works on the first attempt. Something more, in fact, that the age is really something that is not that important, I would say, is that I had 3 clients. They were female patients that were 48 years old, meaning that is really the limit. That was the last chance. 3 patients, they had an egg donation. They had a first cycle transferring 2 embryo in all 3 cases. The test was positive and they have twins. So really, in my 2.5 years of experience, I already had 3 egg donations with 48 years old, 1 attempt with 2 embryos transferred, and it was a positive test, and they have twins. So it is really possible, even when you're 48 years old, with egg donation. Yes. Another one, a female patient was 45 years old, and we used a donor because there was a diagnosed azoospermia with the partner. They came from France again. They had no history coming to Gynem, and then at the Gynem we did 1 egg donation. The first transfer, we transferred 2 blastocysts, 5 AA quality both, so that was the top quality, and the test was negative. Then we tried a frozen embryo transfer, and 2 blastocysts transferred again. The test was negative again. Then we did another frozen embryo transfer, so the 3rd transfer at the clinic. Again, 2 blastocysts, and the test was again negative. We suggested or recommended some more tests to be done. So we did the ERA test, which is the endometrial test I was talking about before, and nothing was found out. So we did the scratch in the cycle before the treatment. We hired a dosage of progesterone. We used the intralipids that are used intravenously, and we did the transfer of 2 blastocysts. The test was positive, and she has twins. So maybe it was the stars, who knows. Maybe it was that we tried another donor, so the match was better, who knows. However, in the first 3 attempts the test was negative, and then we just tried, we just had another donor, and it worked out with 2 embryo blastocysts transferred, and the test was positive, and she has twins. So that you have another idea about our patient, and that the motivation and trying again and again and again makes sense and has a happy ending. Female patient 42 years old, male patient 40 years old, coming from Iceland. Before Gynem, they had no experience, so no cycles. At Gynem, we did the first IVF with own eggs, the first fresh transfer, negative test. The second transfer was frozen embryo transfer, negative test. We tried another stimulation, and since there were a lot of eggs, it was recommended to freeze all the embryos and to prepare for frozen embryo transfers. First transfer, frozen embryo transfer, negative test. Second, we used Clexane instead of aspirin or anapirin, again negative. And then again, and then again. And then the 7th transfer with using prednisone. I guess prednisone, you heard about it already. It is in almost every episode of Dr. House. So prednisone, and then it worked, and they have a baby. Another couple, this time from Germany. Female 35 years old, male 43 years old. Before Gynem, 4 IVF cycles with only 2 transfers. So we didn't manage to, or they didn't manage to have an embryo for the transfer. They came to Gynem to have egg donation. However, our doctor looked at the results and said that you should try again IVF with the sperm pre-selection. Then PGTA, so the genetic pre-implantation genetic testing was recommended, intralipids and Clexane. We decided to avoid the genetic testing and yes, the genetic testing. So we used the Clexane and the intralipids. The day of the egg retrieval, we applied the intralipids. The day of the transfer, when we transferred two good quality embryos, it was the day 5. However, we didn't even have the blastocyst. We used the intralipids, and then when the test was positive, in 2 weeks, we applied again intralipids, and in 2 more weeks, again intralipids, and they have a baby who's already born. Then another couple, 36 years old female, male 33 years old, coming from Switzerland. Before Gynem, never a gravidity, 3 times intrauterine insemination, 2 cycles of IVF. They came to Gynem. They were interested in egg donation because there was a regular period. However, the AMH was really low, and they had already a history of unsuccessful IVFs, and they just said that they would prefer to be on the safe side and to go through egg donation for the first time. So the plan was we transferred 2 blastocysts, 5AA, so the top quality. We used the ICSI fertilization method plus the M.Sc plus embryoscope plus embryo glue. The endometrium was good. It was 10.2 millimeters. However, shortly after the transfer, she started bleeding and the test was negative. So even though they had a history of IVFs and they moved to egg donation, the first transfer was unsuccessful. What I have noticed that she was really stressed. She was really nervous about the whole treatment. So then I suggested her to do something that would make her feel good, calm. So with the frozen embryo transfer, we transferred 1 blastocyst. We decided to not to transfer 2, but 1 this time. And she was a patient that used acupuncture at our clinic. The endometrium was a little higher, almost 13 millimeters. The test was positive, and then they have a baby girl born. So this was again something. It was an interesting case because we really moved from 2 embryos to transferring 1 embryo only, blastocyst, and then using acupuncture the day of the transfer. I could see that she was not stressed at all. She was really calm, and maybe that was something that helped. However, of course, you can see that the doctors it's a trial and error with them as well. They say, okay, let's try a scratch. If that doesn't work, let's do intralipids. If that doesn't work, okay, we can try error test. We can do something. It's just also for you to it's not really that it might help, but sometimes only the idea that we did something different might have an influence on the result. Something that I really that my mind goes back to really often is a case that I had a patient. I had a couple from the UK. She was 35 years old. He was 38 years old. Before Gynem, they had 6 cycles of IVF. 1 live birth after one of the IVF cycles. The girl was maybe 4 or 5 years old. She had a really irregular period and low AMH. That is already not a good sign. Then she had the cycle. She had the stimulation. It was a really slow reaction. She had 3 ultrasounds at our clinic. There were only 4 eggs the day of the egg retrieval and 1 embryo transferred the day 2. It was my first and last patient so far when we transferred the day 2 because she really, really wanted to. Our embryologists say that if the embryo stays in the lab and cultivates in the lab, it is exactly the same if the embryo is cultivating in the uterus. There is no difference. However, of course, if the patient feels more that it will have a better it will have better conditions in the uterus, it will it will be together. We of course do it if the patient wants it. So we transferred the day 2. However, the test was negative. So we tried an ERA test. It didn't really tell us anything new. And then we really recommended egg donation. We had, I remember, around 2 or 3 even consultations after the cycle that it was a big decision for them. Usually the patients decide quite fast to move forward to the egg donation. However, it was really difficult for them. Not really for them, but it was the family that was against the idea of going through the egg donation. So they were really hesitant. We are not pushing anyone into this. It's just a recommendation. And if the patient really wants to go through the IVF again, we of course, it's the decision of the patient in the end. However, we really recommended the egg donation. The doctor said that there is no chance that the couple will have a baby with their own cells. And then I wrote it down because it was in April 2019 that they contacted us. And actually in April 2020, they got back to me that they conceived naturally, and that she was expecting another baby, and everything went well, which is crazy. This is seriously a miracle, because our doctors were saying that there is no chance that it will work out, and there it goes, and it really happened, and the test was positive, and then the baby was born. So this is something I wanted to share with you. This is something we would call in Czech a cherry on the cake. So it's something really insane, crazy. It's a miracle. Yes. So let's go to the conclusion. We have a really good experience with ICSI fertilization method. This is something we're doing with every cycle. So it is injecting a sperm to an retrieved egg. So one sperm, one egg, fertilizing it with the injection. The sperm pre-selection, something that we really recommend. If you are not if you're interested in one thing, do sperm pre-selection. And we have the best experience with M.Sc. Don't be afraid of using frozen embryos and frozen eggs. Statistically, they don't have worse results than the fresh ones. Of course, the embryologists usually recommend or prefer to use the fresh ones. However, statistically, there is no difference, and there are cases when frozen embryos have better results than fresh embryos or eggs. Don't be afraid of using one embryo for the transfer. As you could see, that we have many cases, many cases with a good end. However, of course, I cannot share all of them with you. So I shared one so that you can see that really one embryo transfer can be successful, and especially when you move from IVF to egg donation, the chances are so much higher that you should think about one embryo transfer, because if the statistics in our clinic say that if we transfer 2 embryos, and out of the positive tests, 1 out of 5 ends up with the pregnancy with twins. So 20% is not a low number, and there are many risks with the pregnancy with twins, especially for all the women within the IVF. So really transferring one embryo, we have really good results with it. So think about it if you are not afraid of maybe having twins. Another thing is that we even had a case when we transferred two embryos. It was the first attempt with egg donation. We transferred two embryos, and in the end, it was triplets. The woman was more than 40 years old, so it was not fun, but this is something that can happen. It doesn't happen often, not at all, but it can happen. So one embryo transfer is not a bad idea. Our doctors usually recommend one embryo for the transfer. Error test definitely to find out if maybe your window of implantation is placed. Intralipids, as I said, is something that won't harm you and might only help. Endometrial scratch, exactly the same. So if you do that before a cycle, before you do the treatment, it won't harm you. It will only help. And my personal recommendation is the positiveness. That is something that I always repeat the day of the transfer because, for example, don't fly back home the same day to avoid the stress. Maybe your flight will be delayed. It is always recommended to fly the next day to avoid the stress. Massages, something that might help you with to avoid it, such as the acupuncture. Anything, do it. And that is it from myself. Thank you for your attention and listening to my or watching my presentation. If you have any additional questions, mainly for a doctor or an embryologist, you can contact me personally at linda@gynem.com, or you can contact us on inquiry@gynem.cz, where one of our coordinators will get back to you. This is mainly for patients that maybe speak Italian or German or French. You can contact us there, and the coordinator speaking your language will contact you. So that is all.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Linda, for that lovely presentation. You have given lots of stories that were definitely interesting and giving hope, that's for sure. So, huge thanks for bringing this topic, for explaining how your work looks like as well, and of course, for a lovely presentation and your positive attitude. Definitely, you could feel that. Thank you so much for that. We
Thank
definitely
you.
all need it nowadays. So, as you can see, lots of questions are right here. So,
Mhm.
are you ready to see them and
Yes,
answer?
please.
Excellent. Happy to
Go
hear that.
ahead.
Just let me remind everyone that, of course, Linda is a coordinator. So any medical questions, we will be able to simply forward to her and, of course, her team, so that they can help you out with those more medical questions. Right, Linda? It shouldn't be a problem. I will be showing you all the questions, and the first one, possibly, I'm not sure you can answer. So let's have a look at it. Okay.
Mhm.
So, can you advise on maximum amount of folate, good quality fish oils or flax seed oils are good to take for pregnant women? Of course, if you know.
Unfortunately, this has to be answered by a doctor.
Mm-hmm.
So sorry,
Of
I cannot
course.
answer this question.
Understood perfectly. I will be showing all the questions, okay? So let's do it that way. If we have a
Mhm.
question that it's hard for you to answer, of course it's understandable. We will just simply forward those, okay? And I'm sure you will be
Okay.
able to check with the team so that all of you can have a proper and thorough answer. Okay, in your presentation, you have mentioned, so someone is asking, what do you mean
Mhm.
by verified male partner?
Mhm. This is a question I get very often. So, in fact, we won't check if you are married or if you are actually a couple by showing pictures or something like that. What we need is that the male partner signs the documents that he agrees with the treatment. Either he will come with you to our clinic and sign it at the clinic if you're using a donor, or he will have to go to a notary in his country and sign the document and do the identification with the notary to make sure that so that we are sure that it's him who is signing the document, and then you come with this original signed identified by a notary document to our clinic, and you sign it there so that you can have the treatment here.
Excellent. Thank you so much for your question and for your clarification to this one as well. And let's have a look at the next question that we have. So, how can I make sure egg donation or embryo transfer is successful? Is there anything I can do to make it successful?
Well, it depends. So, what to make it successful? So something I recommended or is recommended by our embryologist is, for example, the embryo glue or assisted hatching. Assisted hatching is something that we recommend more, but it depends if it's possible. Sometimes the embryos, the day of the transfer, are already hatching, so it is not necessary or it is not welcome to do the assisted hatching. In that case, you can do the embryo glue. And if you're asking me about not really the laboratory techniques, but you're thinking about what you can do personally, is again something that is really, really important, is being positive about the transfer. If you think from the beginning that it can't work, that it won't work, it will not work. So this is something, avoiding stress. Another thing, what we recommend not to do after the transfer is to have hot showers, to go to saunas. So in general, to avoid warmth. And not to, something that is recommended during the whole pregnancy is not to lift something heavy, to avoid jumping, just to you can walk normally, but to avoid like heavy lifting and really fast running. That is something that you should avoid during the whole pregnancy. Something else I recommended is the acupuncture. We have really good results with that. So before and after transfer, I think that is it. What I can help you with.
Wonderful. Thank you so much again for your question and, of course, for your answer to this one. And if you could tell us, so what is the cost for surrogacy?
Mm-hmm. So the Gynem clinic is only doing the treatment for the surrogate mother and for the patient. However, we are not organizing the surrogacy. So you have to find your own surrogate mother, and you need to have an agreement, so paper agreement signed, so that we are allowed to do the treatment. So what we do is that you all three have a consultation with us, usually via Skype, where also the doctor has to inform the surrogate mother if or like make check to check that she knows what she will be going through, the whole procedure, the whole pregnancy, that it's not an easy decision, and also easy thing to at the end. I think that we can all imagine. So the cost of the surrogacy over the price of the IVF is 1,500 euros, which is the surrogacy fee, so that we have to do all the administration, plus it's the treatment for the surrogate mother.
And thank you for this answer again as well. And next one is a follow up. Okay, so let's go
Mhm.
as it is a surrogacy question. Can the surrogate mother come from another country?
Usually it is the case that she comes from another country, because obviously if you come from, let's say, the UK, you bring your surrogate from your country. She doesn't usually, you won't find her in our country. So yes, usually it is from the UK. I don't know why, but I had all of my surrogate treatments. I had it from Denmark, and it was usually her sister or it was her best friend who did the surrogate mother, and it worked out. And we have live births in Denmark.
All right, excellent. Thank you so much for that question indeed, as well as your help with that. Next question is, so is there any waiting times for egg donation, and do you offer any price package?
Yes, this is a very wide question. So we don't have a waiting time for the egg donation. However, since there is a long preparation time rather than waiting time. So what happens is that after the consultation, you have the time to think about if you're interested in having the treatment at our clinic, if you're sure about it, because a deposit has to be paid. As soon as a deposit is paid, we start to search for the donor, the matching donor. That usually takes 3 weeks to 1 month. And after this, we need to synchronize the cycles. That takes maybe 1 to 2 months. And then in total, we have 2 to 3 months of preparation so that we actually just start with the treatment. So that is for the waiting time. And yes, we do offer price packages. We have two of them. We have a basic one and a comfort one. The basic package includes frozen eggs that are already on stock at our clinic. You have a guarantee of one embryo for the transfer. Good quality embryo, which means that it can be even an embryo the day 3. With the other package, we have a comfort package, which is with fresh eggs. This package is a little bit unpredictable, let's say, because of course we have a donor that comes to the clinic, and we make our best so that she has as many eggs as possible. However, it can happen that it's a donor that comes for the first time, which is in most of the cases, and she has 3 eggs only the day of the egg retrieval. However, you have a guarantee of 2 blastocysts for the transfer. So, in case she doesn't have a sufficient number of eggs, and we create, let's say, 1 blastocyst the day 5, we will create another blastocyst for later use, so we can transfer this one, and then in the meantime, we will prepare another embryo, which we can transfer and use it for a frozen embryo transfer in the future. But this is quite a wide question. We can, of course, discuss that, or you can contact me on the email, and I would send you everything via email plus the price list, and we can discuss that in person.
And once more, thank you so much for that. And actually, if you can take a look at this, can the sperm donor be a family member?
So, as I mentioned already, unfortunately, the donation is completely anonymous in the Czech Republic, so it is really not possible to use sperm or eggs of a donor that you know. We have many inquiries saying that, for example, I want my sister to be my egg donor. Unfortunately, that is really not possible. As to the sperm donation, we have a sperm bank that we are cooperating with in another city in the Czech Republic. So we are using. There is a catalog, and you find your own sperm donor in that catalog on that web page. However, really, it is not possible to come with a donor from that you know, and that applies for the egg donation as well.
And thank you for that clarification once more again. Okay, next question is, so do you provide your patients with time-lapse photography and embryo grading report upon their request?
Yes, so after the egg retrieval, both in the egg donation and IVF, we update you every day regarding the embryo development. So first, the one day after the egg retrieval, we inform you how many eggs were fertilized, and then from the next day, we inform you how many cells each embryo has, and then we inform you about the quality of the embryos. That is something we do during the cultivation, and then if you choose to have the embryoscope after your treatment, we can send you a video of your. I think it is a little bit faster, so I think it takes maybe 30 seconds up to 1 minute. the embryo development or cultivation till the day 5 when we transfer it into the uterus.
And again, thank you so much for your question and your thorough answer to this one as well. Next question is, so the pre-implantation genetic testing can discard good embryo?
It is possible to choose an embryo thanks to the pre-implantation genetic testing. It is possible. This is something that is recommended when we have a lot of embryos so that we can choose from. So, for example, if you have one embryo only, the day of the if we have only one embryo the day of the transfer and you are interested in the pre-implantation genetic testing, it doesn't really make sense to do it. There's something that is not recommended by our embryologists. If we have 8 embryos, yes, then it makes sense to do the genetic testing to choose the best looking embryo.
All right, excellent. Thank you so much again for your question and, of course, for your answer and to this one as well. And next one is, how many days should we take off work after transfer retrieval?
So after the transfer, days off, well, it is not necessary to really relax too much after the transfer. Usually our clients, not the day after the transfer or 2 days, but usually 1 week after the transfer, they can already work normally. But of course, it depends on your work. If you lift something heavy, it is not recommended to continue in this work. So it is something that you have to specify depending on your job. Yes, but what I would recommend you is definitely 1 week to wait and then go back to your normal life and hope that your life will change completely.
All right. Again, thank you so much for that. Okay, so how do you assess the quality of eggs once retrieved?
How do we? Well, this is something that an embryologist should answer. However, what I get as a coordinator, and what you get because you get it from me, is that it is evaluated depending if it has fragmentations. Fragmentations usually make the quality of the embryo evaluated as 2. A grade 2. The grade 1 is the best. Grade 1 minus is the second best. Grade 2 is still good. And everything that is above 2, so 2 minus 3, is not really good and usually doesn't cultivate till a blastocyst stage. However, what is the evaluation system called? I cannot really answer this question.
All right, of course. Thank you so much for that one, indeed, as well. Okay, let's have a look. Okay, next one is, I've had 2 fight IVFs with own eggs. I had chemical pregnancy with egg donation and 2 fight IVFs with egg donation. Currently, I'm 46. What advice would you give?
Again, this is more a question for a doctor. If I look at it again, failed IVFs with own eggs, 2 chemical pregnancy with 1 egg donation, and 2 IVFs with egg donation. Well, since I don't know anything about your partner, maybe there is a problem with the sperm as well. So it wouldn't be a bad idea to maybe think about embryo donation. That is one thing, and another thing is that maybe depending if there was. Apart from the chemical pregnancy, if there was another pregnancy, so that would show that maybe the window of implantation might be displaced. Maybe something such as scratch and intralipids might help. However, that has to be really recommended rather by the doctor because we need more information about your case to recommend you a treatment. And again, in this case, I would definitely recommend you to contact me on the email, and then we would book the consultation with our doctor. He or she would analyze your case and then come up with recommendations, what would be the best in your case.
Exactly. Thank you so much for that. And of course, let me remind everyone that, of course, you can go ahead and just get in touch with Linda, and I'm sure she'll be more than happy to simply forward it also to the doctors at Gynem, and they will be happy to help. I have just sent you a link. You can use that link, and you will be able to send your queries right to the to Linda and of course her team. So you will get like more details for sure. As well as you can imagine, doctors also will need some more details from you in order to properly answer this as well. And let's have a look. Of course, next question is, so is under 40, 35, 36 not too young for egg donation? They still have good own eggs.
Well, unfortunately, in most of the cases, yes, it is possible to have the IVF when you are less than 40 years old. However, in some cases, it it doesn't really have good results. We even had clients that were 26 years old and they were menopaused. It is really sad because again, another client coming from Switzerland, they had 3 IVFs, they have 3 egg donations. Now she's 28 years old and she had as a case that is really really thick. So unfortunately, this is not always the case, that if you are under 40 years old, that 35, 36, that egg donation is not going to be recommended, unfortunately. Yes.
Understood perfectly. Thank you so much for mentioning all those cases. I mean, every case can be quite different as well. Thank you. Next question again. What day of the frozen embryo transfer do you measure the endometrium? On what day should it be? Around 10 millimeters. If you can advise on that.
Mhm. So during the preparation for the frozen embryo transfer, we recommend the to check the endometrium the day 10 of the cycle. However, if it is the day 9, day 11, it is fine. The main thing is to measure it before you start using progesterone. And what day? Yes, it should be around 10 millimeters. Well, it is advised that if it is the day 10 and the endometrium is more than 7 millimeters thick, it is still thicker and thicker. And usually during the transfer, it should be from 8 till 12 millimeters thick. Sometimes it can be even thicker, and in that case, it can be even too much. So we rather prefer not to go over 12 millimeters. So somewhere between 8 and 12 millimeters is ideal. As you mentioned, 10 millimeters during the transfer. It is not necessary for it to be thick, 10 millimeters thick the day of the ultrasound, day 10. That is too early because it's still growing, and then the day of the transfer it might be too thick, and that is also not something that we are looking for.
All right, thank you so much for that once again as well. There are like few questions left. We will be slowly finishing, but of course, if you have any questions left, just go ahead and type those in. And if you can take a look at this question, what is the approximate price for IVF cycle without PGD?
Mhm. So there is a fixed cycle of a standard, a fixed price of the IVF cycle, which is 2,400 euros. However, it depends if we're using a pre-selection, if we're using an embryoscope, if we are using the embryo glue assisted hatching. So the cycle without medication, also attention, it is 2,400 euros at our clinic. And then the medication is somewhere between 800 and 1,500 euros, depending on the medication type, medication brand, and of course the dosage that you need.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for that as well. All right. Next question is, do you think keeping the same protocol for the next transfer is wise after a failed IVF?
I am also sometimes surprised that the protocol for one of my patients doesn't change the second or the third time. Well, if it is the second transfer, that is it's something. It is something that our doctors also do. So the protocol doesn't change the second time or the third cycle. However, if we have already 3 cycles and the protocol is the same for the 4th one, there is something wrong. We should already add something before the protocol, or maybe during the protocol, change the medication type, brand, or add something before, do some extra testing. Maybe there is something wrong and it is a waste of embryos, which is a pity. So the using maybe prednisone, it depends on the case, mainly if there is a pregnancy or not. However, it is if you already have 3 times a cycle with the same protocol and the doctor prescribes the 4th time the same protocol, there is something wrong.
All right. Again, thank you so much for your question and for your help with that. And of course, there's another question. So let me go straight to that one. So, is it recommended to masturbate before transfer or during treatment?
I haven't heard of it really helping. Well, before the egg retrieval, it is recommended to have a sexual abstinence for 2 to 3 days, not more or not less. And then we are not using the well, that is for the sperm, and for the eggs or the transfer. I haven't heard of the doctors recommending it. Well, I would say that if it helps you to relax, go ahead.
Of course, understood. Thank you so much for that once again. All right, next question is, so when is the use of intralipids recommended at Gynem?
Well, to be honest, I have noticed that the doctor, it depends on the doctor, but usually it is 1 week before the transfer, sometimes the day of the transfer, and definitely 1 week after the transfer. Yes, sometimes it varies. Sometimes it is 2 weeks before the transfer and 2 weeks afterwards, and maybe sometimes, as you could see, sometimes to continue. However, in most of the cases, 1 week before the transfer, even the day of the egg retrieval, not 1 week, but 5 days before. So the day of the egg retrieval, the day of the transfer, and then 5 to 7 days after the transfer.
Wonderful, thank you so much. And actually, there's a follow up. If you could explain what is the intralipids used for?
So it is. Wait a second. I had a really good explanation somewhere here. So it down regulates the natural killers that are because sometimes your immune system is too good. Therefore, the embryo your immune system destroys the embryos, or it just doesn't let it to implant. So this is something similar to prednisone. So it helps to to blind your immune system so that it helps the implantation. So that is obviously so that is something that I would really compare it to the prednisone, that it helps to kill the natural killers.
All right, thank you so much. And of course, there's a thank you from Karen for you as well for explaining. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, Karen.
Okay, excellent. And if you could take a look, so at this one, did you add price if using oocyte activation media? So is it
Oocyte
additional?
activation, oocyte activation media. I am not sure if I understand the question.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it is something we are calling it differently. I know that we have spindle observation system that is used the day of the egg retrieval in case the eggs are not mature. So let's say we have, for example, 3 eggs that are mature and five eggs that are mature, so that are not mature. In that case, we use this observation system to find the right moment and to wait for the egg to be mature, and that in that case we fertilize the egg with the sperm. And yes, that is for an additional price. I think it's something new, and I think that it is 100 euros.
All right. Thank you for this one as well. Sorry, I just clicked on here. So it's, do you use IVM, so in vitro maturation, oocyte in vitro maturation?
I haven't heard of that. I
Mhm.
haven't heard of that. Maybe we are, but I haven't heard of it.
Of course, thank you so much. And it looks like that was our last question for today. But of course, already I would like to thank everyone for your definitely interesting questions. And Linda, thank you so much for answering all those questions, for your presentation, for your positive attitude. You can feel it straight away. So thank you so much for that. It's been lovely to have you here. And I just want you to see that there are many, many thank yous coming up your way for answering. Of course, you can see them. Let me just show you. And there are some comments. Very good presentation. Thanks. And well, is there anything else you would like to add?
Me, I would definitely like to. It is really lovely. Thank you for the comments. Well, I would like to wish you luck. I would like I fingers crossed for all your cycles that you're planning, and yes, we have to keep positiveness in this time, crazy times. It's no time to spare, no time to wait, because because of the pandemic, the situation is not getting any better, and we have nothing to wait for. We should really focus on this, because the time is flying. So I wish you that to so that it works in your case, and I hope that you won't need our services. I really hope that for you, and if we do, I will be looking forward to seeing you at our clinic.
Well, wonderful. Thank you so much. It's been lovely to have you here indeed. And everyone, thank you so much for joining. It is quite late for you, Linda, as all of the rest of you. So I believe that it was very, very useful. And actually, I don't doubt it has been useful for you. So, as Linda said, best of luck to every single one of you. And of course, I just want to mention that it has been recorded. So if you missed any parts of this, you will have a chance to watch this on our website, myivfanswers.com. And of course, if you go to our YouTube channel, you will be able to see that it's going to be uploaded tomorrow. And of course, all the previous webinars are available there as well. And as you know, we will be back here tomorrow at 8 p.m. UK time and the day after that. So I hope you can stay tuned and just find some more interesting topics. And once more, Linda, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure to have you here. And well, I can definitely say I do hope we will have another chance and opportunity to cooperate and have another webinar with you. Thank
It
you
was it
so,
was
so much.
it was
Thank you.
lovely. It was
Have a
lovely for
lovely
me.
evening, everyone. Have a lovely and relaxing evening as well. Thank you. Take care. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.